They're kind of moving them out now. They're like introducing people like
they're supposed to like age out the Parkers soon, I think.
I'm sure.
That's what I've heard.
Kind of doing that.
I mean,
sure, with the Rydell saga and Matthew and stuff, that's their way of.
They really do need to get rid of the Park. Like I do like the Parker family. Like they're not my favorite. They're probably my least favorite of the families we've had. But I do like them. I
don't dislike them.
You've changed David. Matthew's changed like 3 times. Camilla has now changed.
Yeah.
It's just time to move on.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's kind of odd that they replaced the actors because they haven't really done that for anyone else except like main characters. So when they did it for Matthew, I was kind of like, well, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Marvin Washington had 3 actors, which I did not realize until
that was smooth of them.
Yeah, so the first one was only like the first album they were in, but Tamika and Marvin both sound a lot younger in that first album, and so when they switched, their voices were close enough that you couldn't tell, or you just didn't even think about it. You just thought he got older. And
really little in the first one.
I don't really remember noticing much of a difference between the other 2.
Yeah, I don't
like the middle and the second.
I remember one episode where I was like, "Wait, he sounds kind of different."
Mm-hmm. But yeah, but that one always surprised me.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, Matthew, you've been able to tell each time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like he's only had Callison and Justin Felbinger, right?
No, he's on his 3rd one.
It is. Oh.
Yeah. It was the not this newest album, the album before it with the Sacrificial Escape episode. That one was a completely new Matthew.
I just thought like the current or like those 2 and then like the second one's voice just kind of changed and they didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I just remember when they changed David Parker's voice, and then there was that one episode, the like Sandwich Initiative or whatever. And I was like, this episode feels like they're trying to make him like George Barkley, but it's like Great Value brand George Barkley because it's not
Walmart George.
What is happening? I felt so confused about that episode.
It's very George trying. Yeah, I get it.
I was like, it feels like George, but like not.
Yeah.
Ava was great in that episode, though. She was like, just support you, but I'm kind of over this nonsense.
Yeah, that was funny. I don't hate the episode. I just remember feeling very conflicted the first time I listened.
I just remember thinking that the new David sucked. I mean, he's the Walmart brand. He's the Great Value brand David, too, the new voice actor.
Rib.
The original one was really good. I love his voice.
Yeah, I liked his voice.
Yeah. I've gotten used to the new one now, but I prefer the first one.
I feel like it's always like that when you get a new voice actor. Like the first while of listening to the Third Wit, I was just like, what?
Yeah. Now,
how y'all feel about him.
When I first started listening to it, I was like, this is not Mr. Whitaker. And now, like, it is Mr. Whitaker, but it's not still.
Yeah, like it is.
Like, I'm used to it, and I know the episodes and I know to expect his voice in the new episodes.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, I'm to it. Now, I will say, if you listen to, like, the very first episodes with the Barkleys, George is a different actor.
Yeah.
And so is Mary. And the first George was very weird, but it might be because I knew the second George better.
And then there's the first Mitch. That one's also...
that is mixed in with Steve Burns' Mitch as well.
Yeah, like, there's, like, this one line where it's, like, it doesn't sound like Steve Burns' Mitch. Like, he's still figuring out the voice, and you're like, what? Who?
Yeah.
There's, like, one specific line.
Yeah, that, like, original conversation with, like, Mr. Whitaker, I think.
And he's like, he asked him to, like, watch something and, like, talk to him when he finishes, or I don't remember, but I was just like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, and it's intermixed, so like it happens a couple times in that one conversation, and like sometimes it's Steve Burns and sometimes it's this other dude, and I'm just like, what the, and their cadence is different, and it's just like, it is.
But I listened to like a behind the scenes thing, and they said that the original actor for Mitch was actually like 19 or 20, like he was actually a kid. And Katie Lee was like, I feel so weird, I can't do this.
I've read in the guide that they were like, after recording the first episode, we realized we would, like, there were just some, we wanted to go a different direction or something, and that must have been it.
Yeah,
like
he was so young.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. Like,
that would be so awkward. Because like
that's how it actually was. Like, that was how old he actually was.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like 20, 21, something like that. And he had a full-grown job. Like, what the heck?
I know. I never quite understand that. Like, how did he get that job?
How was he a communication or community
relations
representative at 20 years old?
Yeah, it's kind of impressive.
You typically have to have a degree for that. And moved there from Boston to do it. So which means he had to have been and he was with the company for a while. Like, what on earth?
Yeah. It was a high school job starting off.
He'd been with the company since he was 15, apparently.
It also confuses me because to get into the FBI, you usually have to have a bachelor's degree.
Right?
So, like, either he's actually a lot older than we realize, or he got his degree online really fast. Like,
I guess when he was in the witness protection program, there was nothing else to do.
Well, let me get a degree real fast. He would, though, honestly.
Yeah.
How did we end up talking about this?
It just happened. Funny thing about that one, so I have that album, what is it, album 32?
Mm-hmm.
On tape. And the tape for part 3 is on a different cassette tape, obviously, than part 1 and part 2. And so the tape that had part 3 on it got messed up and got broken. And so I would always, like, I still can't really remember very well what happens in part 3 because I would listen to part 1 and part 2 and then that would be it.
Oh, no.
And then I was gifted a lot of tapes, and I was gifted a set of stuff that it was a couple CD sets and then a couple tape sets as well. And it was album 32 in the tapes was there, and it had part 3 on the tape. Good as new.
Oh.
And then that one messed up and got broken too.
Oh, no.
No!
I was like, are you kidding me?
Just destined to not finish the episodes.
Yeah. I remember, though, the first time I got the club, I was like, that was one of the things I was most excited to listen to.
You're like, I'm finally going to hear part 3.
Yes. And I was excited for the club episodes, and then I was like, these don't seem like they're all that. I mean, there's some gems in there, don't get me wrong, but then there's episodes like Millstone.
We do not speak that name.
It's like speaking Macbeth in the theater.
I have strong feelings about that.
Yes.
I actually
might have... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, go for it. It's all right.
I might have PTSD from Millstone.
I listened to it right when it came out, so I finished it at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, what did I just listen to? And I listened to it again the next day, and I was like, okay, now that I've heard it twice, I'm never listening to it again.
I think we could make a whole podcast episode of just talking about our hate Millstones, to be honest.
I feel like, so we've got a hate list and a love list in our podcast group, and on the hate list is Jillian and Millstones.
Yeah.
And on the love list is Jason and Richard.
Everything else is completely neutral.
Jason, Richard, Connie's love life.
Or just Connie in general.
Jules, Buck, Jay.
Yes.
They're
characters
more almost
actually have mental health problems. You know, we acknowledge that. Like some people. Cough.
Jason.
Mhm.
Oh.
I hope in California Dreams that they kind of acknowledge Jules's mental health, because if not, I will be so upset.
There would be no point if they didn't. I'm just gonna say it. It's funny, I was just looking because I wanted to see if this was the first time we've seen Jason since Malachi's message. And it is, and pretty much it's this and Best Laid Plans, and then we go into like Novacom. And I was like, Best Laid Plans, what a good episode.
Oh yeah.
If we were to talk about two, that would have been a good one to pair with this one.
Yes, and Amy and Josh. We could go ahead and talk about it.
Talk
We
about
haven't really
it
listened to it. Yeah, I really was always bummed that we never heard from Amy or Josh again.
Yeah, it was kind of like weird because they very much set something up for Jason there, like if not with them, just emotionally, and then they never touched it again. Well,
it's like they forgot about it because they went into Novacom.
Yeah, like they kind of set something up a little bit, and they even messed around with it again with Monica in Novacom, like him feeling like he wants a family and he wants to settle down.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh, he's going back to the agency now. Like, it was kind of weird.
Yeah. I do also wish that, like, Jason comes home of it, in album 38, Battle Lines. But we don't hear from him until, like, that last, like, 3-episode sequence at all. And he's very minimal. Though I do love that we do get some Jason and Mitch interaction.
I love them. They're so, like, I feel like they would be so funny together.
Well, didn't we bring up that Mitch is now going to be a part of the Richard and Jason duo? They're going to be a trio.
Yes.
I
think they would be very entertaining together.
Yes. Jason and Mitch talking about their broken engagements. Now, if Mitch joins Jason and Richard, him and Maureen have to have broken their engagement.
Oof.
That's just my stimulation. I will say I don't like Maureen simply for the fact that Mitch comes back and he's like, I'm engaged.
I don't mind her because I'm like, we don't really know that much about her.
Yeah.
And I'm like fine with the fact that Mitch and Connie like aren't a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of a brutal episode.
It was.
Bombshell. Just don't like her because she made Connie upset. I'm like, don't leave my baby alone.
Yeah, like those episodes are so funny, but also when you like stop to think about it, you're like, oh, like ouch.
Yeah. And in that episode, Something Blue is what it's called. No, what's it called?
Something old.
Something old, something new.
Yeah.
Which is funny because their episode before was Something Blue.
Yeah. Their wedding.
The wedding. Their not wedding.
The wedding.
Not wedding.
Wedding. Was something blue. But I don't like at the end, you know, Connie comes home and Penny is like, Mitch brought you flowers. He's like, I had to talk with him. He's all wrong for you though. I was like, that does not make it right. That just because Penny says Mitch is all wrong for Connie does not mean it's true.
Yeah.
That was good for Connie. I get passionate about that.
Yeah.
Love that.
I just feel like that was a cop-out to like try and make Connie feel better or something. Like, or like assure the listeners they'd done the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, like Connie had moved on and she had like grown as a person since then. So it can make sense for her to have grown past like where Mitch is now. Yeah. That doesn't mean they weren't right for each other at the time they were together, though.
True.
Even if their relationship was 90% action adventure and 10% romantic comedy.
Yeah. I feel like with Jason, she could probably get 50 now that he's like, I do think he's kind of out of the agency for good, but like,
just got that reckless side to him.
An adventurous person, which she is too.
Yeah, but I feel like Jason is a romantic. Like,
he is.
Definitely is.
Episode, like, He's romantic.
And Whit needs grandchildren. I know he's Monty and Jenny still.
Who are
They're old.
And he was never a part of their lives a whole lot because they lived in California.
Yeah.
And now Monty is a food inspector in Des Moines.
Yes, a food inspector. Yes.
Who is actually a Secret Service agent.
Food inspector.
Inspector's no analyst.
That is, though. I listened to The Long End the other day, and I hadn't listened to it in a while, and I forgot Monty was in that episode.
I love that
And
episode so
him
much.
and Jason, oh my gosh, they're so cute. Like, their interaction, I love it.
Yeah.
Aww. They're adorable.
Uncle Jason is like the best Jason.
I know. And to hear, whenever Monty says Uncle Jason, it's always kind of weird, though, because you never think of Jason as an uncle. Because up until then, I don't think we'd had any direct interactions between Jason and Monty, because Monty was in those first several albums, and Jason didn't come in with, I think Mortal Coil is album 16, and that's not even Townsend Coleman. So,
yeah, he doesn't come until like album 22, so.
Yeah.
So long.
I would have loved to seen Jerry as an uncle.
Oh, no.
Would have been so good.
That's so depressing.
I want them to do like an alternate universe Odyssey where Jerry doesn't die.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Or like an episode about it. Oh, that would be super good though.
That would be cool.
Would be.
Like Room of Consequence style or something.
Yes.
Like for Jason.
Jason makes a Room of Consequence program because he misses Jerry.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Also depressing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I would love to do that though.
Oh, that would give off like Touch of Healing vibes though. You know that episode where he does the one where you can, handicapped kids can go in and they can.
Yeah. That episode is super interesting though.
It
I love it.
Wild.
It's also sad because that's the episode where Connie's grandma.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Connie.
The beginning of her many woes on Odyssey.
Connie needs character development. Well, who in her life can we kill off?
Yeah, basically.
True. I mean, it kind of makes her more like emotionally mature. Like when June died, she matured, but also it wasn't necessarily big of character growth.
Yeah,
made her sad.
I feel like we're like, Connie needs a character arc, and they'll be like, what about when June died? I'm like, first of all, that was kind of a long time ago at this point. Second,
it was like 10 albums ago. I mean, it's just 5 years.
Yeah. I'm like, what did that really do for her other than
Her depression.
like her sad?
Now I really want a Jerry-centric episode where Jason makes a Room of Consequence or something.
Yeah. They haven't talked about Jerry in quite a while, other than like the boat people. I think that's the last time.
Yeah, other than that, I think his last mention was in album 58 when Jason can we talk about Mom and Jerry? I think that might, if you look on the wiki, I know they have character last episode mentioned.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, I was thinking about it. They haven't done any historical episodes in a really long time. Like they did the Titanic one, and I was like, wait, they haven't done that in a long time.
They kind of do that on the club, and I'm glad they do because I always skip the more historical one.
Shame on you.
Only BTV episodes I do like. I think they're typically pretty funny. But it's kind of like when they do the kids' radio programs or something. You're not the characters you're really used to or anything. Or when they I do whenever Bernard tells a story. Those are funny.
I love
but when they did they have 4 or 5 episodes that are about St. Paul. And it's just That.
I like those ones. I also like Rod in those ones.
And I always struggled with Imagination Station 1. I love the American Revolution. That one, for some reason, I've always really liked. And I think there's one where, is it Marvin and Bernard go in the Imagination Station?
Yeah. With
and
Joseph,
then
maybe?
Yes, I think it's Bernard and Joseph. And then I never really minded, like, it's not like I really minded them, but especially, like, as somebody who really likes the adult characters, and, like, Imagination Station were always more about the kids learning something and their characters.
Yeah. I mean, I always really liked them as a kid just because I really liked history and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, now I'm kind of just like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I really liked the American Revolution episode, like, especially for when they made it. It was kind of progressive, like, in terms of, like, talking about race in the American Revolution. Like,
yeah, that one's a good one. I have a whole list. I haven't posted it on Tumblr, but I have this running list of times Odyssey was actually super woke, and it's very long. Like,
wow.
So
I want that list.
I'll have to work on it some more. It's not very complete at the moment, but yeah.
And then times they were not. Like the whole Ties That Bind episode.
Well, there's that.
No, which I will say, I like the Ties That Bind. I do really like that. I just struggle with the Let's Get Together side of things.
Yeah, there's definitely parts of it that are woke. Maybe not all of it, but parts.
Yes. I like the Sergeant York ones. I mean, I was listening to the Deep End album, and I kind of forced myself to listen to them, but I'm glad I did.
I have to force myself to listen to Sergeant York. Again, it's not that I don't like it. I think it's a really good episode. It's just like, I don't listen to Odyssey to listen to this. I listen to, like, Connie and Eugene and Miss. I think that's probably my thing with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, when I go to listen to episodes for fun, I don't usually seek out, like, Imagination Station episodes or anything.
And I also, like, especially, like, they've brought back some BTV episodes, I know, in the newer albums. Not that I don't think I've even listened to them, because I'm like, you can't do BTV without Bernard.
It's cheap without Bernard, I'm sorry, but...
Yeah. And to me, I'm like, make that a club episode, because you've shortened the albums in half now. Every single episode on that album needs to be part of the major storyline.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, they only push the storyline forward by, like, maybe 8 episodes per year. Yeah. So, like, that's why everything is so slow and no one's, like, developing as a character, because it's just like, well, we had another one. And then within those 8 episodes, they have so many main characters right now. It's like, oh, there's like 2 episodes with Jules in them, and there's these 2 episodes with the Parkers in them, and there's these 2 episodes with Bucket. Like, it's just like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, too much stuff going on. They can't get anywhere with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, like, well, yeah, like this Rydell Revelation saga has been going on for like 4 years now. Novacom didn't go on that long. It went on for 2, because you had 4 albums at 2 a year.
Yeah. I miss Novacom, and I always will.
I wish I could, like, be in, like, 2001 to 2002 when those were coming out, and, like, I would just, like,
mind.
And I wish I could listen. There are some, like, I wish I could listen to that one from the very beginning without, like, having, like, ever heard it before. Like, if I could listen to that for the first time and do it in chronological order, especially, because Counter Moves we owned on cassette tapes, but I didn't have any of the other ones. So I didn't realize that this whole Novacom saga thing was a big, long thing. And then I got album 38, which was the conclusion of it, and I started, and it opens up with Connie being like, all right, here we go. Texting a dead person, and I'm like, what? Mitch is dead? Who is Aram? Because Aram's...
Oh, no.
Aram, was Aram talked about in album 36? He popped up in 35, but I don't remember if they mentioned him again until 37.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And apparently, I've heard rumors that apparently it was originally supposed to be like Richard Maxwell or somebody.
Yeah.
Well, but the actor couldn't do it, so they're like, new plan.
Because there are some times, if I remember correctly, too, where Aram and Mitch are pushing some time limits. Like, Mitch is out doing something with Connie, and Aram's over here, like, popping up on somebody's computer, and you're like, what?
Okay, but I realized something about Aram the other day. I don't know why I didn't realize this before, but at some point the kids were like, Aram just knows everything, and I realized, I was like, that's because Connie knows everything. She just doesn't realize she knows everything. She just tells Mitch about everything that's happening. And he's like, good to know over here, like, I gotta go now.
Thanks, babe.
So actually Connie was
So really Connie is Aram.
Yes.
Why she felt like she could trust him in the first place. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, my cousins had albums. I think it was 36, 37, and 38. So I did get to listen to all of Novacom from beginning to end, like the very first time. And I remember I was on a car trip with my parents, and I was just in the backseat, like, losing my mind the whole time. Like, what? And my parents just thought it was the funniest thing. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, that was pretty much some of the first time I listened to Odyssey at all. So that's why
I remember the first time I listened to some of the album 38 episodes, if I remember correctly.
Doesn't 38? Oh, never mind. Sorry.
It was Babylon. So
yeah.
We were on our car trip for Christmas. I want to say to Ohio, but it actually might have been to North Carolina. Pick up my sister down there. Anyway, and I remember my older sister, who was the Odyssey fan, is the reason the tapes were in the house and stuff, and I got to listen to them, had album 38, and she gave it to me, and we listened to it in the car. But my mom is one of those people who, like, will listen for a little bit and then turn it off because she wants the music or not have anything. So it was like, I'm on the edge of my seat, and she's like, okay, we're going to stop for now. And I'm like, no!
No.
I'm like, do you know how long I have waited for this?
No, that would be so upsetting. Yeah, the Plan B episodes, like, that's probably forever gonna be my favorite. Like, it's just so much happening at one time. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's so well done. And they recorded it. I didn't know this until recently, but they recorded Plan B, like, during when 9/11 was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the intensity and emotion of it just makes, like, so much more sense from knowing that.
Yeah. I remember reading, I think in the guide, they originally had, but did it actually have to do with, like, the tower? I think there was really supposed to be more like of a bomb or an explosion somewhere that happened, and they ended up rewriting it because 9/11 happened.
They're like, what's
either that, or it was actually scheduled to come out in October, some of the episodes that could have some parallels, and they pushed it off for like 6 months or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. That'd be a little rough.
Yeah, I just remember reading in the guide that there was some very obviously unintentional parallels because they'd written this episode months before.
Yeah.
I think my first Novacom episode had been, so like when I first started really listening to Odyssey, I really just cared about like Eugene and Katrina's relationship. So I think my first Novacom episode was when they got married. And then I'm like, oh, I should probably listen to the rest of the car.
That's so funny. See, to me as a kid with Eugene and Katrina, every time I heard them, I was just like, this makes me feel uncomfortable because there was always tension in their relationship. I was like, I just want them to get along. I don't like
this is toxic.
The thought of Jason in quarantine still makes me laugh really hard because he just wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It's probably when he discovered, and Richard's over there like, I've spent the last 20 years in a clock. You can spend 2 weeks in your home.
That's funny.
Uh,
First thing he does is go fishing at Trickle Lake when we can finally break free.
yes.
Yeah.
He's just trying to stay away from Wit the whole time. Wit's like, it's fine. He's like, no, you're old.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, boomer.
No, he's trying to protect. He probably tells Wit, you can't go to Wit's End. I'll go. I'll shut down the entire shop
Do
and
it.
manage Wit's End. Or Connie's telling Wit that. You shouldn't be
He would.
here.
True.
Of course,
I'm fine.
Wit is probably the kind to be like, wouldn't open up the shop, though.
Yeah, he probably.
Yeah.
But he'd be like, we're having Zoom Bible study now.
Yeah. Would. Oh my
And
gosh,
he can work
only...
Zoom. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go for it. It's okay.
I say he can work Zoom better than any of the kids.
True. Ooh, throwback to that one episode. I forgot about this with the Edulink.
I was about to say he probably instead of Zoom they just used the Edulink.
We could have used some of that technology over quarantine. Wit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ahead of their time.
Well, next pandemic.
Where is my husband? Goodbye.